Several months ago, I taught a class here for our adults on this very idea and expanded a little bit to talk about technology. And so when Tim told me that they were inviting me to speak at Affirming the Faith on the same thing, I thought, great, I get to take 13 weeks and try to condense that into 45 minutes. And so luckily, Denny has already done a great job in several of our classes talking about some of these things. And, Jeff, even in his last keynote, mentioned some of the ideas that we're going to be talking about. But social media is, whether we like it or not, a part of our culture now. Just raise your hand if you have a social media account of any type. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. How many of you have been on that account today? How many of you are currently on that account? Okay, put your phone away. My dad, of course he is. And he's not lying. That's our culture. I work with young people, and I'll tell you, they're on social media. But guess what? It's not just young people. And I think that's one of the impressions that we believe is that this is something that's only affecting our youth. But I remember when Facebook first started. I was in college. I was I think a sophomore at Oklahoma Christian, and my friends were trying to encourage me to get this Facebook account. And I was like, no, thank you. I don't need that. I don't see the point. I talk to you here, so I don't need to talk to you there. I finally bought in. I got an account. Didn't check it a lot. And I can still remember what I like to call the great migration of the elderly. Because when Facebook started, you had to be enrolled at a university to join. You would put in your name, and you would put in the college, and then you were approved. But eventually, they opened it. And I can still remember when I first got my very first friend request from one of the elders' wives at the church that I grew up at, and I thought, social media is about to change. It did. And so this is not something that just affects our young people. Everybody's on social media. Young people, old people, regardless of background, regardless of where you live, people are on social media all over the world. And so for us to pretend this isn't something that we need to deal with within the church, we're fooling ourselves. And you'll notice I put the good or bad, because I question sometimes whether social media is a good thing or a bad thing. In fact, I have a Facebook friend who just a week or so ago posted on Facebook and asked, do you think social media has done more hurt or more help for Christianity? Man, I had to think about it. Because certainly, and we're going to talk about them, there are some great benefits that have come from social media. And it allows us to do some incredible things for God's kingdom. But there's also some great challenges that come with it. And it allows us to do some things that, if we're not careful, we can abuse it. And so I want to talk a little bit about this idea, but what I hope you'll get out of this is that social media is neither good or bad. It just is. It's just a thing. It's us. It's the way that we choose to use it. And I'll illustrate it this way. I have a car. Maybe you have a car. My car is just a car. It has no moral code, no system of right and wrong. I mean, it's just a car. Now, can I use that car to accomplish good? Absolutely. I drove here today, saved me a walk that I would never have made in my wildest dreams from my house. I got to drive. But can you use an automobile for terrible things as well? Absolutely. And so that's social media. It's just a car. It's just a thing. So it's not good. It's not bad. It's the way we choose to use it that's good or evil. And so I'm going to talk this afternoon about the good and the bad of social media. And we're going to start with the bad, just because I've always been the old, let's break the bad news first and let's get that out of the way, and then let's talk about the good things we can do with it. But if you will, go ahead and turn over to Ephesians chapter 4. I know we spent most of the weekend in Philippians, but we're going to jump over to Ephesians. And listen to what Paul writes in Ephesians chapter 4, verse 29. He says, let no unwholesome word proceed from your mouth, but only such a word as is good for edification, according to the need of the moment, so that it will give grace to those who hear. Now, much like Jeff just did in his last session, I want to, and I don't think I'm stretching what Paul is saying, I want to exchange a couple of the words here, and I want to help us put it in context of what we're talking about. Let no unwholesome word proceed from your social media, but only such a word as is good for edification according to the need of the moment, so that it will give grace to all those who read. This should be our standard for everything we say, whether that is vocally or through a keyboard or through our phone. This should be our standard. And just like Jeff mentioned, I'm afraid many of us think, well, they can't see me. Look, I'll pull my... Everybody awake? Okay. He told me it was going to pop, and I said, it's okay, it's after lunch, it will wake people up a little bit. I can get my phone out right here, and I can say things to people, and guess what? I don't have to see their reaction. I don't have to hear what they think. I don't have to see the sad look in their eyes when they hear the things that I say. Because guess what? They're far away. Like that in there. I got them. Why is it so easy to say things when people can't see us? Well, that's one of the dangers of social media. But I hope that we will look at passages like this and say, God's not just talking about the things that come out of our mouth, but the things that come out of our heart, the things that come out of our mind. And before I sit down to type anything into my computer or into my tablet or into my smartphone, I want us to ask, why? If you get one thing out of this session, I hope it is before you share anything on social media, ask yourself, why? Why am I saying this? Why? Because if it's something that's unwholesome, and your version may say something different, some versions say corrupting talk, foul or abusive language, evil talk, but really it just means without worth. It's just useless. Useless words. Don't serve purpose. And the true definition, I'm going to have to I look like a cyborg with all my wires here. I'm going to have to stay away from them. But the real definition of this word unwholesome comes from the contrast that he gives to the way we should use our words. But only such as good for edification. In other words, when I'm posting something online, am I posting it to tear people down or to build people up? Because if I'm posting it to tear people down, you know what Paul is saying? Nope. Has no place on your social media. If I'm trying to build people up, okay, that's different. And so I want to look at 3 different ways I think we use our social media incorrectly. And we're going to start, we're going to call these 3 things to avoid. Number 1, criticism. I'm going to have to get some water here. I'm not saying that there is not a time for critical things to correct. To pull someone aside and say, hey, you shouldn't be doing this way. But I think it was Jeff that just said it. Don't do it on social media. That's just not the place for it. And I'll tell you, social media has become such a critical place. And what I have found to be true of social media is not that people are different on social media, but the worst of people comes out on social media. Those are qualities that are true about us. I mean, I want to say those things, I just don't say those things. So it's not that social media makes me behave in a way that I don't want to act. I feel like it allows me to act the way I really want to be. And so if you get, I'll just give you an example. You get on any YouTube channel, and you find a video of a young girl singing her favorite Taylor Swift song, and you scroll down and you start reading through those comments. You know what you're going to find? Hate. Criticism, unkind words. Why? They don't know who I am. I can chat from such and such, from you don't care where, and can say whatever I want. I found one such video when I was preparing for this class, and it's just a girl. She's just singing a Taylor Swift song. It's a song she likes. She sings it, and guess what? I read through the comments, and I could not believe the things that I read. It started with things like, I can't believe how ugly she is. Look at her nasty teeth. Does she even know how to carry a tune? And I'm reading through it and I'm thinking, they don't know this person. And then I started getting to worse. Kill yourself. I mean, what? We are critical. And I would love to believe that that kind of criticism only exists in the world and not inside the church. And certainly, probably not to that extreme, but I think we cover up, as Christians, our criticism, and we justify it. Oh, yeah, but I'm being critical about spiritual things, so I can be unkind. Okay, that's not in the Bible. Yeah, but don't you see what they post? Didn't you see the article that they shared? I disagree with it. And so I'm going to post a bunch of nasty, critical things about them. That's one way to do it. Or you can do what Paul said. And you don't let those kind of things come out of your mouth. Instead, you build up. Just last week, I won't tell what the article was, but I saw an article posted on Facebook, and I'll tell you, I didn't read the article. I saw the title, and I read the comments, and these are Christian people having what they call a debate. And you know what it was? It was a mudslinging contest. Saying hateful things to each other. But we're Christians. We're talking about spiritual things, so this is okay. In the world of social media, criticism is something to avoid. If you've got a problem with somebody, go talk to them face to face. If they live across the country, at least do them the benefit of calling them. Don't be critical in social media. There's no place for it. Because we've all had it happen before where we try to say something on social media or maybe through a text and the tone doesn't come over the same way. I can remember one day at work my wife texting me and said, "When are you coming home?" And I was like, what did I do? Because I read, "When are you coming home?" So I'm like, well, I'll leave the office at 4:30. Okay. Wow, somebody's got some attitude. Did you hear what she said? Okay. You know what she was saying? "Hey, when are you coming home?" 4:30. Okay. But we don't hear that. So I read it and I think, I'm a dead man when I get home. And I walk in and she's smiling and I think, is everything okay? Yeah, it's great. Well, what about this hateful text? Was it the O or was it the K? So, social media, there's no place for criticism because it's too hard to decipher what people are saying. If you have a problem with people, and we're going to talk about conflict here in a second, but if you have a problem with a person and there is a place for the correct kind of criticism, do it face to face. Don't do it on social media. And so let's go ahead and jump to that next idea, and that's conflict. And Jeff just did a fantastic job talking about conflict because guess what? Regardless of who you are, conflict is going to happen. It happens. Nowhere in the Bible are we promised that if we live good Christian lives, God will protect us from conflict. It happens. It shouldn't happen on social media. Let me give you a statistic that I made up. But I am 100, give it a second. I'm 100% sure this statistic, though made up, is factual. 0% of conflicts are settled in a Facebook comment thread. 0%. I have read some of those comment threads, and guess what never happens? Wow, I'm really glad we had this debate. Let's all get together and sing Kumbaya because we're all on the same side. No. It usually ends with one person saying, well, you know what? Agree to disagree. I'm walking away from this for 45 minutes till I log back on and say some more things. Conflict should not take place on social media. You are not going to sway someone on social media. Now, are there some great things that we can do to help let people know about our faith and let people know about the great things that are going on in the kingdom? Yes. But be honest. How many of you have ever read an article shared on Facebook and changed your mind? You can be honest. Wow. I'm going to add that to my new statistics I've made up. 0% of people. At least I did some research for that one, right? It doesn't happen. You know the kind of articles I share? The ones that agree with me. And you know the kind of people who like those articles? The people who agree with me. That's the way it is. And yet I want to take my battle onto social media because I think, I'm going to get him. Mark disagrees with me. Well, Mark, boom, there's an article for you. And Mark doesn't agree with it, but my dad does, and I got a thumbs up, so whew, I won. Take that, Mark. Guys, it doesn't work that way. Conflict is going to happen. But guess what? There is a biblical way to do it. Jesus said, if you've got a problem with your brother, you know what you're supposed to do? You go talk to your brother face to face. Privately. That's right. Now, granted, Facebook was not around. But what we do is no different than me standing up in the middle of this room and saying, you know what? I got a problem with Wayne Roberts back here. And we're just going to get this out there. And if anybody want to chip in anything that they got a problem with Wayne Roberts too, go ahead and say it. But we're going to do it in a good Christian way. So, sorry, Dad. Shouldn't have come to my class. I would have used someone else as the illustration. Conflict does happen. But again, look at this verse in Ephesians chapter 4. He says, use words that are good for edification. Words that build up. Is there a way to handle conflict in a way that builds the person up? Yes. I've had people pull me aside before and say, guess what? I have a problem with something that you did. And we have a good heart-to-heart conversation about it. And I walk away thinking, they were right. I need to change that. That builds me up. Now, it may have made me uncomfortable. I may not have loved every second of it. But it built me up. Rather than him just posting on my Facebook wall or tweeting at me and saying, so-and-so did this, and I want everybody to know about it. That's not the way to handle conflict. Conflict happens. Keep it off of social media. All right? Third, and you're going to notice how I used all C's because I got a toddler right now. Complaining. Complaining is the easiest to justify, and here's why. Criticism, I get it. It sounds bad. Just to say to criticize someone, that sounds like a bad thing. And conflict, we don't like that. But complaining, I can make complaining sound okay. Oh, affirming the faith was great this weekend, but I'm so tired. I just wish life were easier. Why are you complaining? I'm not. I said affirming the faith was great. Just so tired, and I wish life was easier. Okay, I see what you did. Or, And again, I'm all for prayer requests, but I've seen people do the hidden complaint in a prayer request. Please pray for me, everyone. I hate my life. I just don't love any part of it. My husband is terrible. I hate my kids. Guys, you know what that is? That's not a prayer request. That's complaining about your life, and you just stuck prayer request at the beginning of it. That's complaining. To this day, I swear, my mom's favorite verse in the Bible, do all things without grumbling and complaining. You know why I think that? Because I heard that verse every single day of my life growing up. Mom, do all things without grumbling and complaining. Who put that verse in there? Okay? Same goes on social media. We don't need to be keeping you awake, aren't I? And I'm not going to complain about it either. Social media is not a place for us to come and air our dirty laundry. And Jeff alluded to this, but let me tell you, some people see Facebook and Twitter and all these social media accounts as a private diary that just everybody gets to read. You know what? If you got things that you want to complain about, go buy a little notebook that you stick between your mattress, and you can write all of those things, and then your mean brothers can find it later and read it to everybody if they want to. Not that that's ever happened. Okay, keep it private. If you have to have someone that you pull aside and say, look, can I just talk to you for a second? I got some struggle. That's fine. But when you get on social media and say, I just need a vent for a second, what you're saying is, excuse the behavior that I'm about to have, because even though it's sinful, I think I can justify it if I say I'm venting. No, you're not. You're complaining, and that's not right. And we may think, well, I get it. Criticism hurts other people. If I criticize Mark is hurt by it. And if Mark and I have conflict, Mark is hurt by it. But if I complain, it's just me. How many of you have the friend that's a Debbie Downer? Do you know what a Debbie Downer is? Hey, this is so exciting. We're about to go vacation down in Mississippi. It's gonna be... Yeah, but did you hear there's jellyfish in the water? Yeah, but it should be good. The food is great. Yeah, but I can't eat shellfish right now. So it's like, okay, great. Why are we bringing you along on the trip? Complaining, even though we think it just affects us, it affects other people. And as Christians, we are called to be people filled with joy. And you know what I'm afraid is happening? People are logging onto Facebook and they're seeing Christians talk about their life and they're saying, why do I want that? Why do I want to be a part of that? Their life is terrible, they're unhappy, everything is going sour, and then occasionally they post a Bible verse that says, rejoice in all things. No, thank you. We don't understand, but non-Christians, they see what we post. They see the way we criticize one another. And you better believe they read our arguments online. And you better believe they see your complaints. And you know what they're thinking? I don't want anything to do with that. You don't realize it. But you know what? I know that because I am a Christian. And I read some of those things and think, do I want anything to do with that? And I have to remind myself that I'm trying to pursue Christ-like Christianity, not the Christianity that some people are choosing to live out on social media. But non-Christian people can't always see the difference. If you're a Christian, you're critical, you're fighting always, you're always complaining about stuff, I don't want anything to do with that. You are turning people away from the faith because you are using social media negatively. All right, we've hammered that. I've been a Debbie Downer for the last 20 minutes. So then, how do we use it in a positive way? I want to talk about two different ways, and certainly there are more than just two ways, but hopefully these are two things that we can take with us. Number one, encouragement. And that's what Paul says right here. That's what it means to build someone up, is to be an encouragement to someone. I'm always reminded of Barnabas from the Bible. You know, Barnabas, that's not his name. Does anybody know Barnabas' real name? Joseph, that's right. But you hear his name Joseph one time. Why is he called Barnabas? Because Barnabas meant son of encouragement. The apostles gave him that nickname because he was such an encouragement to them. He gets to be called son of encouragement. I had some nicknames in high school. Not that one. I don't know what that says about me, but if your friends call you son of encouragement, you're an encouraging person. I want to be like Barnabas. And I don't want to just be like Barnabas when I talk to people face to face. I want to be Barnabas online. I know a guy who lives in the Denver area, and I think he actually used to work for North MacArthur. His name is Marty Trujillo. And you know what Marty is? He's Barnabas. I see him post on Facebook all the time, and always positive. I'm like, Marty, I know things are going, and I'm not saying we have to be inauthentic and that we have to pretend there aren't troubles in our life. And Marty will be real. He'll tell you when things are going wrong and when things are struggling. But you know what he always ends with? He said, but be, and it's B-E-E because he loves bees, be positive. He's got things in perspective. So as a non-Christian, you read that, you go, man, that's a guy he's facing a lot of the same struggles I am. But how, somehow when I read it, do I feel encouraged? Because of how he approaches it. He is a Barnabas. I want to be a Barnabas on social media. And I hope you want to be a Barnabas on social media. When you find people that are being critical, find the people that are being criticized and build them up. Encourage them. When you see arguments, here's one way to be an encouragement. Stay out of them. And I think it would be good just to offer some classes on how social media works, because a lot of us don't understand. But as soon as you comment on a thread, everybody that you're friends with is now going to see it. And I see a lot of people comment, I don't want to see this on my thread. You people need to grow up. Well, you know what? Now your friends are all going to see the comment that you posted that you don't want everybody to see. Stay out of it. I see a lot of arguments on Facebook, and guess what? I spend a lot of time typing, and then you know what my favorite button is? Delete. I just open up a Word document and go, type whatever you want, and then save it on your computer, and you just delete it later, okay? Don't send it. Just stay out of it. That's encouraging. Because guess what? I know a lot of people that I'm like, I know they're seeing this. So we're friends on Facebook. We have mutual friends. I know they're seeing this. They're not commenting anything. And sometimes not saying anything is encouraging. Stay out of it. Just stay out of it. And I know life is hard. And I know there are times where it is easy to complain. And sorry if I'm going to step on your toes, but you know where this is easy to complain? Politics. Yeah, but I'm standing up for what's right. Yeah, but are you doing it in the right way? I get it. You may or may not agree with whoever's in power. But if your non-Christian friends look at you and you just sound like you're complaining about everything, I don't want anything to do with it. You know who was in power during Paul's time? I'll tell you a little bit about him. He was worse than anyone we've got. Now, some of you may find that hard to believe, but they had terrible rulers. Emperors who are going to have Christians killed. And you know how much time Paul or Jesus or Peter spent complaining about politics? They didn't. In fact, the time they spend talking about the government, you know what they're saying? You need to be submissive to it. I don't like that. I'd rather share this picture of this political guy I like with a funny comment that bashes his intelligence, and now I feel good about myself. That's great, but you know what your non-Christian friends think? That's a complainer. He tells me to be content. He's not content. He's not content in the life that he's living. Because in Christ, doesn't matter. I know who my king is. And it doesn't matter who's president or who's in Congress or who's running the country. Jesus is king. And if I can't be encouraging in those things, people will see it. Be an encouragement. But secondly, another great way we can use social media is for outreach. I want to read some numbers that I did not make up. I just feel like I need to clarify that now. And who knows, these numbers change all the time. But at the last time I checked, I saw that 88% of Americans use the internet regularly. 88%. That is a lot. 60% of Americans claim to have a Facebook account in over half the country. And 3.3 billion people worldwide use the internet regularly every day. I don't know how many people you come face-to-face with each day, but I don't see 3.3 billion people. I don't. This right here, this is probably about as big as my sphere of influence ever gets, is this room right here. So you're telling me I have a chance every day to potentially reach 3.3 billion people? Why would I not use that opportunity? And I get it, especially some of the older generations. We're a little hesitant about technology because it's new, and social media is not something we've had before. But I'll tell you something. If social media was around during the time of Paul, I promise you he'd be there. You know why? Because we have to go where the people are, and the people are using social media. It is they are opening their doors for us to talk to them. Now, you may not think that it's going to make a difference. You may not think that it matters at all. I took a class at Bear Valley called Ministry Technology. And one of the assignments we had was, if you didn't have a Facebook account, you had to create one. And every day, you had to post something spiritual. It could be a verse. It could just be a spiritual thought. And I can remember thinking, I'll do it. It's not going to do anything. These people, they know. And most of my friends know I've got a Christian background, but whatever. So each day, I'm putting no time into this. Copy a verse, throw it on there. Within 3 weeks, I received a message from a kid that I went to elementary school with. Had not seen him in years. He said, hey, I just want to let you know I've seen some of the stuff you're posting. And I live in the Denver area. And if you're ever preaching, would you let me know? I'd like to come hear you. And I went, okay, wow. I'm doing this because it's an assignment. It's not like I had some great plan. I had to do it. 2 weeks passed. I get a message from a guy I went to high school with. He said, hey, I've been noticing some of the stuff you posted on Facebook. And my wife and I have been trying to have a baby. We're having some struggles. Would you pray for us? I said, absolutely. And we opened up a dialogue a little bit. And to this day, we still talk about stuff. And every once in a while, he'll send me a message about something spiritual. And I'll try to, give him some guidance and some direction. Those conversations never happen if I hadn't said something. We have an opportunity to reach lots of people. And you know what? I used to be the guy on Facebook that when I got a friend request, I was like, all right, do I really know this person? Let me see. You know what? If somebody wants to be my friend on Facebook, you know what I do? Accept. You know why? Because they just gave me a free pass to share anything I want with them. Especially if it's somebody that I went to school with, if it's a non-Christian. Because I'm like, well, I don't know, what if they're going to see pictures of me and my family, and then they're going to come find me, and if they want to find you, they're going to find you, okay? I'm going to be open, because guess what? It is a chance for you. You want to see my stuff? Great. We're friends. Be ready, because I'm going to share some spiritual things with you. And you may not think it's going to make a difference, but it is. And, there are individuals who use blogs and video blogs and all sorts of different areas online, because I can reach 3.3 billion people every single day. And I get it. Some of them speak different languages than you, but there are ways to use social media to reach out to great numbers of people, people that you'll never see face-to-face, or you may never see face-to-face again. And if we use social media in that way, we can make a great impact in the lives of others. Just like my car sitting out here in this parking lot, if I make the right choices, it can be a great blessing to my life. It can be a blessing to others. I can give kids a ride home from church. I can do some wonderful things. If I make poor choices, a vehicle can be a weapon. And Denny mentioned in his class earlier about road rage. A vehicle can be dangerous. It's not that my car, we're not talking about Herbie the love bug here. It's got no personality to it. It's just a thing. And that's the deal with social media, is we want to know, well, is social media good or is it bad? It just is. It's how we choose to use it that is either going to be good or bad. And so I hope you will take into consideration not just, oh, will this get a laugh? Or will this get a like? Or will this stir the pot? But why am I sharing this? Am I trying to build people up, or am I trying to tear people down? Because if I'm trying to tear people down, Paul's message to you is you don't say it, and you don't type it, and you don't text it, and you don't say it over a phone call. Let it go. But if it's going to build people up, do it. Let me just tell you this, if I can find my notes here. There are critical people online. They're already there, so we don't need any more critical people. And there are people looking to pick fights online, so we don't need any more. And there are pot stirrers and all sorts of wicked and evil people online. So guess what? If that's you, you can step away because they've got the role filled. It's time for us to say, I can use social media to accomplish fantastic things for God's kingdom. I can be an encouragement to those who are in need. I can lift people up every day. I can reach out to people that I may never even get a chance to meet, rather than being critical and looking for fights and complaining about everything. But it all comes back to why I post it. Why? And so if you do have a social media account, I want to challenge you that every time before you press send or before you press enter, just ask yourself, why? Why am I saying it? Does it need to be said? Am I saying it in the right way if it does need to be said? Because I get it. It is so easy to just type it in real quick and hit enter. It's out there now. Did anybody ever send a love note when they were young? I can remember writing in elementary school notes. You put lots of thought to it. You read it. You crumble it up. Write it again. Okay, that's good. I like you. Do you like me? Circle yes or no. Perfect. When you're writing something out like that and you're going to send it, you read through it, you think about it. It takes time. When I can type it on my phone and press send, I think some people like it because they go, you know what, I'm just going to do it real quick. Enter. It's gone. It's gone now. I can't take it back. What have I done? But you know what? I said it. That's bad. I don't like that about social media. But it's the same thing with words. I've said things before, whereas it was coming out of my mouth, I was like, please come back. It's too late. I said it. Before you say, text, type anything, just ask why. Why am I saying it? And how are my non-Christian friends going to react to it? Now, granted, there are some things that we're going to say that non-Christians are not going to be happy about. And if their problem is with this, then that's their problem. But if their problem is that from here to here, it got messed up, that's my problem. And that can be saying it in the wrong way or saying it in the wrong area. There are some things that are meant to be said face to face. There are some things that are meant to be handled with gentleness and kindness, and we need to be careful about how others are going to react to it. So just why? Social media is not good or bad. It's just social media, and it changes every single day. Parents, I think you'll probably find that as you join one social media network, your kids make the pilgrimage to a new one. It's like when you're young, you don't want to be around your parents. You're going to find another place to hang out, even if you end up hanging out in the laundry room. It's like, well, they're not in here, okay? That's why when you went to Facebook, they went to Twitter, and when you went to Twitter, they went to Instagram, and when you went to Instagram, they went to Snapchat. They are running from you. Hey, keep chasing them, because they need you there. But it changes every day. And, this lesson, if you listen to it in 5 years on the website, it's probably going to be outdated. But the morals behind it remain true. And it doesn't matter if it's on Facebook or Snapchat or Instagram. Your reasons behind it should always be with the right motives. And that is, am I building up? Or am I trying to tear down? Because if I'm trying to tear down, I'm not using it in the way that God intended it to be. It can be a great blessing, but we don't want to get in the way of that.